Come on, big gold belt. Come on, y'all.
All right, good people, and welcome back for another recap review show here at Big Gold Belt Media as we're jumping into episode 9 of season 2 of Bel-Air. Adversary and I are ready to talk all things Doc and Hilary tonight because I know my guy going to have a lot to say, and I'm going to ensure that he has a lot to say per comment last week. Said, let adversary talk. My bad. I didn't mean to. My man. They did, bro. They did. They said I was talking too much. It's all good. It's all good. I put the muzzle on. But yeah, this is episode 9, just like old times. Which in this episode, it does say in the synopsis that Will confides in Phil after the shocking information he discovers regarding Doc and Zenith. Excuse me. Carlton struggles to keep up with all of his lies. He's entangled himself in. So as we always do each and every week, Mr. Adversary, let's just get your overall thoughts about episode 9. One away from the finale at that, just to keep in mind.
Yeah, this one kind of borderline felt like a finale. As usual, man, I thought it was fire. I loved it. Very gripping episode, kept me at the edge of my seat.
Yeah.
Certain, I don't know if I'd say reveals, maybe reveals is the right word, but just certain things, coming to light and kind of helping you put them puzzle pieces together to get the whole picture. I thought it was dope, man. I loved it. A great episode as usual.
Yeah. Y'all get in the comments right now. Let us know your thoughts about episode 9. Did you like it? What you feeling? Are you excited for the finale next week? And some of the revelations and as you said, discoveries that we have gotten this episode, let us know all of your thoughts in the comments below. We're going to start off at the top of the episode as we jump right into it, which picks up immediately after we left in episode 8. And of course, with Agent 007G on the case, we're going to get all the details. And they did really depict the situation with Doc, which is interesting because in the beginning of the episode, we sort of are painted a picture. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the episode, we definitely make sure that picture went over a couple of more times to really define the stakes for us as the viewer. So what I think we're going to do is we'll talk about Doc and our assessment of Doc at the end, because we want to make sure we get all the details in. But certainly in the beginning of the episode, we are we're provided the details that what Doc is basically doing is a violation, and he's gatekeeping the funneling, the sort of the tunneling and the funneling of talent. And while he has sort of control of the best top draft picks, he can kind of distribute where he wants folks to go based upon the other folks that are kind of involved with him. And then we have a name to this person who was chewing him out last week in Lorenzo, who Lorenzo is determined to take Doc down. And Lorenzo's been trying to tell all of the players what is going on. And I love G instantly coming in and say, I'll pay him a visit. But Will says he wants to face him himself. And well, G's kind of like, your reluctancy.
Yeah, we're gonna say, your short grit, your restraint is something
admirable
restraint. Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
But he, as Phil promised last episode, he says, I promise to give him space to work through his choices. So as we start to kind of build this cake in this episode, what's your thoughts about this opening scene, the stakes, and a focus on either one of these characters? Like when all of this was happening, where did your attention go? Like what character or what sort of just predictions you had?
As it was unfolding, I love that they picked up right where they left off from the end of the last episode,
which is never a
given.
given.
Walk in, he sits down, he starts to talk to Uncle Phil. Uncle Phil finishes the statement for him because he's already hip, and then coming into episode 9, it literally picks up. But you get the piece that we've been missing up until now, where they break down specifically what Doc is actually going into, or rather what he's been involved with and why it's coming to a head now. So I liked as the story, as Jeffrey is giving them details and they're breaking it down, I'm just sitting there like, damn, okay, cool. I like also because the last episode, I believe it was, where Jeffrey was like, yo, I'm back 100%. You see that they immediately they make it a point to let you know that G is back. He's right where he left off. So I really enjoyed that about the character. Like, all right, we're getting him back in his mojo. And I like the I guess the way that they set the scene up.
Yeah.
And I guess it begs the question, and I guess maybe dive more into this later, but just not so much about Doc, but just the scenario.
Yeah.
In that scenario, who's right? Who's wrong? Is there a right or a wrong? How do you determine who's right or wrong? It was a lot of questions that came up with the scenario, and I love how they kind of played that out in the very next scene.
Yeah.
To
answer my own question, I mean, it's so hard to not overlook just the vast contrast of G in Bel-Air and G in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And I sat back for a second, and we've now in 2 seasons have talked about just how we love they gave so much depth and purpose to all of these characters.
Yeah.
And what's so odd to me is I don't think, and while we appreciated this, while we know there was a little bit of a hesitation into coming into this series, and we did our best to try to win folks over with it. I had a moment in this opening scene where I was just like, I really appreciate G from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, because it's as serious as he is in this, as tactical as he is in this, it is very entertaining to have to want to go back and say, like, well, let's see the comedic side of him and let's see how that plays out. And you sort of get like, it almost feels like a parody, but you appreciate it, and like, let's just call it what it is. We love a good parody in our community. I'm just going to say what it is, because there's some good movies that aren't really good movies, but we'll say that they're good. like Scary Movie. It's not really a good movie, but you can never tell us that. Classic. It's a classic, of Scream. And you love how, we were able to, and although like it's different here, but like we love how like you took something with source material and created a parody, and it was enjoyable. And I think here it's interesting how we got a show that's so near and dear to us. Then we get this, and we bring it in, we accept it now, and we're getting this almost a 360 version of G that one of my favorite characters without a doubt. But then I just had a moment, I was just like, yo, I really do bang with the G from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. To think how serious this one is. This one was carrying the strap in this episode. He was like, listen, I pull up on anybody.
Dog. Well, my man said, you might not want to make that move, big boy. Everything. I was like, yes, dog. My man is back.
Yeah, I just had a moment. I was just like, yeah, I really appreciate the G from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, man. Just to kind of think that, like, this is the comedic side to this character makes it so much more funnier now. Because you think it now, like, that motherfucker probably had the strap there too.
And it speaks to the genius of the creators of the show. I just had a conversation like 2 days ago with some random girls because they were saying something about Bel-Air. And and I guess they had brought up the point that, they kind of rebooted the show and it's like Power now. And I had to cut in. I was like, ma'am, like, the show's amazing. Like, what don't you like about it? I think she was saying she ain't like it. And we kind of got into why she didn't like it. I think her main, and that's the thing with people, bro. A lot of times people will, I don't like that. It don't really have no real reason. It's just like, right, if there's a wave and people don't like it, I'm gonna just jump on the wave. So I think her gripe was just the fact that it went for, it's a comedy as we know it, the sitcom, and now it's been made into more of a drama. And that's what I was explaining to her. That's the genius and the brilliance of the show. When have you ever seen that done before? Unless I missed it, you know what I mean? But who's taken a sitcom and literally turned it into Power, if you will? And did a damn good job at it. Like, what other show did that?
Yeah,
I
I'd say
mean,
that like Peacock has definitely created the blueprint of success
yes,
with this, and
yes.
the other thing is when you took sort of that documentary in Joe Exotic, and then they came out with the Carol and Joe show, which a
Mhm.
lot of people didn't talk about, but like it's probably because you was burnt out with all the Joe Exotic stuff. But I did check it out, and I was like, I love this converted too because you took a documentary,
Right.
actual footage and whatnot, and then you made a regular series with it. So you gave
Yeah.
so much more of these scenarios that we didn't really know about, the mysteries, and even ran sort of narratives, and it just made it fun. I was like, I
Mm.
actually really, really like this, So, I think, as we now are in episode 9 and hoping for many more seasons, hopefully people just understand that it's like broaden your horizons, man. This show is dope. Period.
It is dope, and that's what I will. My little 2 cents, my recommendation to just the audience in general. If there's a show you're unsure about, at least give the first episode a watch. I'll just
Yeah.
say that because you never know. Like
It,
that's like I said, like that's what brought me into Power. The type of
yeah.
show was I don't really watch them type shows, but I heard so much about it. I said, let me sit down and watch.
And
By the third episode, I was all in.
And let me actually add some context to that. At least give it 2, because most of the time in the new show, the first episode is the pilot
Yeah, it's the
episode
pilot.
where they're unsure if they're even going to get picked up. So
Yeah.
sometimes it could be a little rough.
Yeah,
But the second episode is the confidence that, okay, now we can tell our story. Because if you have a pilot episode, sometimes it's just a matter of like leaving so much of a cliffhanger that you either are overly intrigued or you're just like, okay, that was awkward. You know what I mean? Like, sort of think of like if you was going on a roller coaster and all you did was go up and then it was done. You're like,
yep,
that wasn't fun. Or you're thinking like, yo, I wonder what's on the other end of that roller coaster. It just all depends on the writing here. But like, for sure, if there's 2 episodes, absolutely give it a try. And I think, and I also think just go to good trusted sources for your reviews and your content and your recaps. I ain't gonna pat ourselves on the back or that. I'm just saying, just, go to trusted sources here. Anyway,
yes, people that are dedicated to really breaking it down and giving and giving you some valid discourse on what we watch. Yeah, for sure.
In the comments, folks, let us know why you love Bel-Air. That's a change for something for a change here. Let us know why you love Bel-Air and why you stuck around for now 2 seasons, 9 episodes as we get ready for the finale, which I know is going to be nuts. But getting into the next part, we got Carlton. They're in the hallways now, so everybody got the narrative that Carlton and Connor are not cool no more. But Drew, on the other hand, is like, nah, I seen them together. And Lisa is in denial of it, and there's a little bit more to this, but I guess instead of just going to when that scene comes about, let's just talk about what's happening right now with this sort of just triangle square situation with Lisa, Drew, Carlton, and Will.
Yeah.
So as it stands, Drew has always had it out for Carlton. Makes sense. I know we may not like the guy, but it makes sense why he's so motivated to not like him. He thinks he is a fraud. He also is part of the BSU. And when you are part of a sort of a society or a part of an organization in which you stand for, and when you see somebody that's sort of infiltrating that, you
don't feel away.
Then you got Lisa obviously in the middle, who you like Lisa, but you see Lisa has his back to no flaw, even to this point. She's just like, I see the ones like, nah, there's no way, they're not cool no more. He wouldn't do that. And then you have Will, who obviously is Lisa's ex, who they're best friends, but it's definitely very gray area-ish. And if Drew, her boyfriend, knew about what they were up to, that's not a good look either. But Will very much feels secure with Lisa, and as I said, is the obvious choice for him because she's always there through thick and thin. They definitely have the good friendship and trust foundation, even though Will sometimes defies that. But ultimately, too, Lisa lives by the code of what a good friend is. She says, no matter what, I got your back.
Yeah, she's able to separate.
Even to a fault where she didn't even want to even see or hear what Drew was saying, because she knew her man Carlton, who is very much friend zoned right now, would no way make those steps to go back and hang with Connor after the video, after being exposed about the drug stuff, which they know. There's just no reason. And then we have Carlton here who doesn't like Drew for obvious reasons, and Carlton who doesn't like Will for obvious reasons, and Carlton who is not living in his own truth because every single thing he does seems to either be a contradiction to what he says, and he just flat out lies about everything. So that's sort of the dynamic of the four of them, unless I'm missing some things. But throwing it to you now, what do you make of the four of these characters and just the complete conflict amongst them?
Well, it was crazy. It was kind of a little crazy. And some of what I was wondering about got hashed out in the later scenes with Will and Carlton. But I guess overall, the dynamic is, I guess, it's what you'd expect, right? If you put yourself in their shoes, they're in high school, they're around that, that late 17, 18 age range, hormones are raging, ideas are floating around, emotions are jumping. So it's a lot going on. It's a guy that's kind of a jerk, but he likes a girl. They're kind of all in the same mix with the ex, who the girl's still cool with on a friend level. The ex don't really care for the jerk that's trying to get at his ex because he knows he's got it out to hit him. Then you got the cousin that's the odd man out in all of this, who is also the ex of Carlton. Like, it's a whole, like you said, triangle, square, pentagon, like it's some polygon stuff going on. You know what I mean? And I think it's very interesting how they were able to kind of keep the characters all in tow and all in the mix of each other. So now, like I said, the scenario gets to pretty much a boiling point, or maybe even last episode was the boiling point, and now it's what's the damage? What's after the smoke, the dust settles? You know what I mean? Yeah. What does it look like now? I personally am waiting for Drew to get what's coming to him, but
what is that?
It didn't. I don't know. Something. He got to get something. Right?
But I don't. But like hold on. But yeah, no. Let's put ourselves in the hallway for a second. We've been to high school. We know how this is.
Yeah.
Why don't we like Drew? Because
I don't like Drew because we know the kind of, like you said, high school. Like, I went to school with guys like that. Yep. So you know the kind of dude he is.
Yeah.
He fronts very well. Kind of, really, if you want to keep it 100, you could put him and Carlton in the same boat.
Okay.
Difference is,
okay.
Yeah, I would say on that front level, because a lot of things Carlton has done throughout the series, you could make the same argument. Oh, he just fronted. The difference to me is Carlton's fronting comes from a place of, I'm just trying to fit in. I'm just trying to get to that, get through the end of the day.
Would Drew not also fit that? Is Drew not faking it to it? Look, you don't got a lot to kick it, brother. Is that not his whole move?
I think that's his whole MO, but the difference is Drew doesn't, as far as we know, Drew isn't suffering from the issues that Carlton is. Drew doesn't have a cousin that came from Philly that kind of took over. Drew doesn't have to kind of rearrange his home setting to accommodate a family member that he wasn't that close with. You feel me? Carlton has layers of what's going on in his life. And like he said a couple episodes ago, yo, I'm doped up every day. I don't know what to do. I'm just trying to fit in. And so he doesn't make the best decisions in that.
Yeah.
Drew don't have that issue. Drew is already accepted. So it's like you said, like, why you ain't got a lot to kick it, bro? Like, you're cool. You have a friend group. You're part of the BSU. Like, there's no reason for you to pick at him or put on that facade. Like, just be you. You know what I mean? So it rubs me the wrong way because I went to school with guys like that, and I ain't like that.
Yeah, I agreed. I know folks for sure has had a Drew within their high school hallways, and we know what they become, and it's never a good thing. And but I think for the sake of the show, I think that Drew is a poser at times. I am very much pro protect Lisa.
Yeah.
And while Lisa is happy because she's now had her hand with the three of them now, so I'm going to trust Lisa a little bit.
Yeah, you're right. It is all. Yeah,
I'm going to trust Lisa here because she has had her hand with the 3 now.
Mhm.
I will say that the 3 of them all have detrimental qualities where Will never valued her. Carlton probably never told the truth. And I also think that Drew cannot be himself because he's so worried about the competition. And that's where my problem comes with him is that instead of him being himself, he has to slight others in order to make himself feel good. And
exactly, yes.
Some of it has some truth, but also some of it's unnecessary. Leaking the video is definitely hitting below the belt. There's no need for that.
It's not. Drew is the dude. Like I used to tell a friend of mine the same thing about Derek Jackson because she swore by him, and I told her, I said he's a fraud. I can tell you that right now. She used to get mad. Why you just hating? Why is he a fraud? I'm gonna tell you why he's a fraud. He's the dude. Him and Drew, they the same dude. That was the dude in school where you was at the cafeteria talking to a girl and getting laughs from the homies. Cuz will walk in and be salty because the girl was paying you attention and the homies was laughing at your jokes. So now he got to come in and, like you said, slight you.
Yeah, start an unnecessary rumor.
Unnecessary, or he'll just walk in, like say you cracking jokes, everybody having a good time. Drew's the guy that'll walk in, see you kind of running the show, and just, dog, what are those on your feet? Hey, why did you wear that shirt? Like just off the random. Like Slim, nobody was talking to you. Why are you here? He's that guy.
Yeah,
if you get a laugh from the girl, he got to follow up with something and try to clown you. So
it's all the competition to him.
Yeah, bro.
And while that, so like I don't like, as much as I dislike Drew because of what I know Drew to be. As it stands now, we should be leery and suspicious of Drew because I feel like there's more to this character. But right now, I have to go back and just honestly say that I just don't like Carlton. And, this is a character that I came around with, and now I'm back on the opposite end because Carlton and his lack of accountability, but also Carlton does something that makes him one of the worst type of people, period. He hits below the belt maliciously. Like, I think Drew does it in a sense of trying to make himself feel better and unknowingly how bad or what he could do may cause. But Carlton has said 2 very mean things in this episode. One to Lisa last episode in the sense of like, oh, you just finally found somebody. You're so pathetic. You finally found somebody or anybody to pay attention to you after Will broke up with you. Yeah. You had no reason to come at Lisa like that. Nobody. You had no reason to come at Lisa because she's never done anything but to be there for you. So that's just completely uncalled for. And then later on this episode, what he said to Will, where he was just basically, we'll get down because it's in my notes, but with the comments he made about Jackie and Will with the utmost maturity, which definitely is by the praise of the writers, because I do not see this scenario playing out like this on any given day. Somebody has to get smacked. When you start talking about my girl out of nowhere, and you like whatever you mad about, she don't deserve to catch a stray here, so I'm gonna have to smack you up. So like keep her name out my mouth. Will Smith.
We love you, Will. Yeah, but to your point, and that's why I say, like, that's why I just said earlier, they're kind of almost the same. So I'm not mad at that synopsis. I can't, because you're right. On a certain level, they are the same character. But I guess my heart more so goes out to Carlton's character simply because I feel like
we get to resonate with him more.
There's real internal struggle. I feel like if he didn't have everything going on with him that he did, he wouldn't be so much of the character that he's become. I think a lot of that is circumstantial. Yeah, I mean, whereas Drew is that's just what he's going to do.
Yeah, you just take a second and realize that because you're investing into this character because they're causing you to be invested into a guy. And I think that's true. I think I want to see this guy Carlton. I was pro Carlton season 1 when nobody was. So like, and you try to show empathy for this character, but now I'm like, okay, now you're just coming off as a dick because now you just purposely are trying to hurt people. And as Will basically said, listen, whatever you are trying to do to make yourself feel better, at the end of the day, I'm paraphrasing, but at the end of the day, you have to look yourself in the mirror. That's the only way you're going to overcome whatever you're battling, because trying to hurt other folks ain't going to make you feel better, bro. Like, and Will kind of smirked and walked off, was like, dude tripping. And he is spiraling bad, but we'll get down to that. Let's talk about the very next interesting moment in this episode. I'm just going to just simply throw this to you and let you go at it.
Okay.
Erica coming to visit Aunt Viv.
Bro, she threw me for the okie doke because I didn't peep game.
Come on, bro.
I should have peeped game. I ain't peeped game until a little bit later when the writers made the point of it, and I was like, oh, how I didn't see that. But definitely, a whole fast moment when I saw her knocking at the door and she came in with the flowers. I was like, yo, what is this? Don't
forget she walked her ass right in, bro. And then even the way when Viv was like, what are you doing here? Well, this is the only way I could be nosy and see inside your house. Like, it was like, dog, that's one of them, I'm joking, but I'm telling the truth at the same time. So I peeped that. I said, okay, Erica. But then I'm watching her, and her and Viv have a moment. Listen, it's history there. We were young. Viv trying to tell her, like, all right, it's whatever. And then Erica's like, well, no, I'm an adult now, so let me own up to it. I apologize, da-da-da-da-da. And now the rekindlings of the friendship start to manifest. And then she's asked, oh, you still keep in touch with old girl? And yeah, da-da-da-da-da. And then Viv they have that moment where she opens up to her. Hey, I got a call. They offer me this. What do you think? Well, if they're offering you the position, that means whoever doing it probably ain't doing what they need to do. I've learned over the years not to have so much regard people that don't have regard for me. So it's like she's walking right into the trap. But I felt bad as the viewer because I was where Viv was, and I was like, damn, how I didn't see that. And it's not until a little bit later where clarity is given, and it's like the aha moment. Oh, that's what that really was. She swindled it, but that's really what she was doing the whole time. So again, I tip my hat to the writers. Great scene, great way to connect the dots, and great way to do it in a subtle way where some of the viewers may have overlooked that piece until it was connected later on. I want to say that it was a very, very, like, all the red flags in the world, the way how Erica came in with the flowers and whatnot, because we have to understand that these interactions all have intentions. As much as Erica came, as much as Aunt Viv went to go see Erica because she wanted to hash things out, well, shoot, there was no conversation since that. So what are you coming back? Oh, you bringing flowers? Okay, cool. So if you're apologizing for something, then as she said, you could have just sent it here. But I'm going to say this. I think Erica's a good person to have in your circle because while you do want to keep people like her, who is completely a resource. She, as she mentioned about like how Viv was detailing like what type of quality she brings to a friendship, or what type of quality she brings to a professional in the business setting. And she also talked about her other friend that she said like we're still friends, and she's talking about we done talked about divorce, kids, all this other stuff, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that Erica comes in with the business sound, which obviously Viv appreciates as well too, and other whatever type of qualities. But and I hate to say this, but I think we all got friends like that where we're like, yo, this person's really good at a particular thing, but not good at a particular thing. Where it's like, I ain't trying to throw nobody under the bus here, but like we got those friends where we're like, they like A1 with advice, but I would never trust them with finances. Like I just they're just not. Financial literacy is trash,
Okay,
but
that's real. So now how do we relate that to, hey, they're really good at this, whatever, but I don't trust them
right on
a personal level.
Right. So Aunt Viv, being who she is a person is willing to give empathy. So this is a classic case of fool me once, shame on you. But Aunt Viv ain't going to come around because next episode they're having that conversation because Phil already know what time it was. But Phil also made the decision and did not tell Aunt Viv, which is either a scene we didn't see or didn't happen. And that's going to lead to a very explosive conversation because she told him You make a big decision, you let me know. And the fact that he made the decision
Well,
by way of that Erica meeting that they had, the dinner or lunch, whatever it
but
was.
yeah, but remember there was that short scene where they were in the kitchen,
Yeah, he said
and
what's best for
Viv
us.
was kind of encouraging his decision.
Fair.
So and that's the thing, because you're right. Certain times, like they don't show certain things in the scenes, and I guess it's just assumed and it picks up on another scene. So I would assume Aunt Viv is aware he's planning on taking the position.
Yeah.
However, I think it's, it was made clear that she wasn't aware of Erica's true intentions behind the visit.
Yeah, and I think again, I think there's benefit to having Erica around, but I also think there's a very much like a at arm's length type of relationship here. So Erica coming in, I completely had all of my detectors going off like, oh no, nope, can't trust her. How she came in, her reasoning, some of her responses to things, she's trying to butter her up, and then being sort of like the typical like shady person and like, hey, let me just see what your house is so I can just see how you live. Bro, that's bro. That is like envy galore and hating shady, all that, bro. So I don't know. So
like when she gave her that answer, I was like, all right, I think she kind of meant that a little bit. And then Vivi was said too. Viv was like, well, yeah, we're aware that you got your penthouse at whatever it is, but the difference is Viv ain't popping up.
Yeah. So Phil at the firm, and he's obviously there with the board, and there's obviously folks that they have a plan in place, but Phil's like, no, the Garrison account that they lost, and his whole plan is to get it back. And he put his foot down, saying we're not going to just go out like basically like chumps, like we're going to stand for this and get a deal that works for us. So we're just seeing Phil coming back to take charge and has a plan that's going to really get his firm back on their feet. Again, Erica and Viv was the scene after this again,
and then Will and Lisa's conversation.
Yeah, that's right after this. So we got Erica and Viv, and just talking about the catching up and whatnot. And Phil walks in, and G was like, I was trying to call to warn you. And there was a very slick comment about, oh, just like old times. I was like, oh boy.
Yep. And I can imagine the awkwardness for Phil walking into his crib, and that's the scene he walks into. I can only imagine.
You know what? And me too. But then I started thinking like, man, Viv probably be holding so much shit down that he probably like, man, feel bad for Erica in this note, thinking it's sweet. And I know she ain't gonna like let her walk over her or try anything, but
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. So we get Lisa and Will, and this is about them knowing that, hey, the whole Connor thing, and he says like, well, if they're hanging out, then you already know what could be happening very soon. And then Lisa is told that Drew dropped the video. Lisa is not totally believing that though, a little bit reluctant, as I said. Drew, Will makes it very clear that he's definitely taking Carlton's words over Drew, which is obviously a conflict because Drew is actually right here, but as by his cousin and the loyalty to his cousin, that's what you gotta do. And Lisa basically said, how did we even get here? We're supposed to have each other's back. And I love Lisa, man, because throughout all of this, man, we shouldn't all be at foes. I mean, Lisa's definitely looking at Will like, bro, that's your cousin. Why are y'all beefing? But to my question to you, is Will beef with Carlton now to this point? Because last week, absolutely. But I don't know how much time passed. But let's just say let's just say some time passed. But is he justified here to still be beefing at this capacity with Carlton, or is it more to this?
I don't believe. What's funny, bro? And I guess it will be made more clear next episode, the next coming episode. I don't think the beef is. I don't think it's so much a personal thing with Will. I think more so this scenario and everything we've seen up to this point, or maybe that's what all this was leading to. I think more so than anything, Will is like, there's a mixture of he's upset and he's disappointed because if you look at Will's response to everything, right? Had this been season 1, that might have been I feel like they would have came to blows.
Yeah.
Because so much time has passed, they've been through so much, and the promise they made to each other. Will even brought that. I had forgot about it till Will mentioned.
Yeah.
Kings of Bel-Air, bro. What happened to that? You supposed to have my back. I'm supposed to have yours. So Will consistently, his character is painted in a way where he's a person that takes your word at face value, good, bad, or indifferent. When you say something to Will, he's gonna hold you to that. This is what you told me. This is what I'm rocking with. All right, we boys. We got each other back. We got each other's back. Even if we go back a couple episodes to the protest, same thing, right? Will was, yo, I saw you having a panic attack. I needed to, we had to get it done. So boom, I just ran and did it. And then figuring, I'll get blamed instead of you anyway. I got your back. So I think Will really just takes it personally, like, damn, dog, we cousins. We done been down this road already. And it just doesn't sit right with him that Carlton would assume he would go to that length and drop the video. I think that's the big thing for him. And I don't take it so much as beef, because they still talk. If it was really like, I'm beef, I'm not rocking with you, they wouldn't even speak. So they still speak, but Will just looks at him different now. Because he was talking about in the last one, like, I know somewhere in the back of your mind how you really view me now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My quick input is that how can you forgive him when he just fails to have any bit of accountability for anything? So your apology means nothing because you lie about everything. And you're willing to lie to your mother to the extent that you did here.
Right. Which Will doesn't even know about, mind you. That's the whole scenario Will don't know
but
about.
He moving funny.
Yeah, he can sense that. Yeah.
Yeah, 1,000%. Yeah, you're right. Will does not actually know.
He doesn't know, because remember, he walks in and he sees
kind of like, what's good with that?
Yo,
You know what's funny? Surprised that none of them have asked Will what's up with that. Any other time they wanted, like when the protest happened, they were all down, like Will neck, like, hey, yo, what happened?
Yeah.
Surprised it, like, look, my man was like, his car got stolen. Now all types of other words are being thrown out. Like, what's up with that? But I don't know. We'll see. Let's get down to a couple other things. Carlton is looking for Connor because Connor's not answering his phone. Hilary got this little party going on here where she's going to have the influencers versus the athletes, where LaMarcus and the boys, which you got some cameos for some NFL players. Robbie Anderson was one I spotted. And I'm sure y'all know all the rest. So just get in the comments and be like, oh, who did y'all see? But anywho, we're going to just go through all of this party thing until the very end. We're going to set the table for the party here because Hilary's in complete denial because they're just friends. No one believes her. Also, my man LaMarcus pulls up like, "Where my girl?" Kiss on the cheek. But whatever. And while that's happening, Jazz is simultaneously having a big day for himself as he's having a party that Hilary helps put together at his shop, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But all the girls are basically like, listen, Jazz is I ain't gonna say all the girls, but Ivy, played by the wonderful Karuchi, is saying Jazz is the pass. I wanted them to go full-blown mean girl and make a chant about that, but they didn't. So beggars can't choose this here. But even with that too, Ashley does show up to help Hilary because Ashley's there because her favorite influencer, whoever it is, was supposed to show up.
Yeah.
And they didn't. But Hilary, Hilary, much like the bigger sister, is always going to support her baby sister by any means. And so Ashley's there, helping the party operate, but also nerding out because our favorite influencer is supposed to show up. There's a lot of little things about Ashley in this episode, but we'll again, let me just compile all of this stuff with this party. But yeah, the athletes show up and they get this little flag football game popping, which looks like a newer version of Will Smith's Summertime, how they slowed it down and all this little flirty stuff is happening, these over-exaggerated tackles and hugs and everything. And Ashley has to step in because they were one person short, by the way. The girls got their whole choreography when they score a touchdown. But it's very clear that Ivy has her eyes set on the athlete, but LaMarcus is pretty much there to ensure that everything that Hilary wants to happen smoothly. I have to say, if they were just friends, LaMarcus is definitely in the plug because he's definitely contributing in a way that's helping elevate everything Hilary. And Hilary is giving the googly eyes to him. It's like one moment she's like both foot in, one moment she's 1 foot out. I mean, she's going through all the emotions, but they do have a moment where he basically says, like, listen, we're going to slow it down a little bit here. We're just going to focus on having fun and making sure this works. But every other single chance they get a second, they throwing flirty stuff at each other. And Hilary undeniably is loving what's happening. The last thing I want to add is Hilary giving Ashley the advice, because Ashley made it very clear when she asked about the football uniform. She says it's a queer Black woman. I feel like, and it cut it off, and I know she was going to talk about how this feels like it's over sexualizes her. And I love this line because I think that while we do aim to have more representation and equality, I think that the message here is that while you do want to stand for something, you know, and then we already know the saying, if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. Yeah. And I love seeing Ashley being the solution to the future. But while you are doing this, remember to have fun. Remember to have fun, you know, and I think that was a very important message and telling thing for Ashley, because I think that there's a couple of things. Ashley's younger, and I think we can probably relate to this. If you've ever hung around older folks, you always want to sort of instate your presence in terms of like, oh, I can hang with y'all, I'm mature, or like I can hold my own. And I think that was Ashley kind of making it, trying to make an adult statement of like, I'm maybe younger, but I'm mature and I'm grown. I can kind of hang with this. But like Hilary basically saying like, hey, enjoy life. You're going to be all right, but enjoy life. Remember to enjoy life, even though you care about things. I just said, I am proud of what you stand for, but please have fun.
Yeah, so, you're still a kid.
Yep.
Enjoy that. Absolutely. Yep.
So anyway, that's all of the party stuff. Sort of, if there's anything I'm missing here, just what was your assessment of Hilary, LaMarcus, all of that?
So I liked the party. So I guess we've accepted the fact that Hilary made a bad decision by including LaMarcus in the first place a couple episodes ago, right? But it is what it is. We're here now. I like the fact that he's making himself available as far as the resources trying to help her. Cool. We also know his motive because he stated it. But I guess I have to respect the fact that even though his motive may be impure, he's going about it respectfully. I guess as respectfully as one can in that scenario.
Let me ask you a question. If she is leading him on to think she's single, she's been very clear about that, but if she's leading him on to think that like she appreciates what he's doing, and as he says, like, I'm not doing all of this to get you back, but if it is working,
but if it works, and I can't be mad at that, because that's how I was feeling. That's a line I might use. That's a line. It's when you have a scenario where the setup is kind of perfect like that. It's like, hey, look, man, I'm gonna take you out to eat. Now, it don't mean I'm looking for anything from you, you know, unless you're trying to it's there. You know what I mean? So I wasn't even mad at that. I kind of chuckled, like, yeah, I like that. That's a line I probably would have tried to slide in there. Yeah. But like I said, it's the actions, you know what I mean? It's what you say, but it's what you do even more. So like I said, while he's made it clear how he feels, where his mind is, his actions at least are admirable. He's given her the whole what do you need? All right, I got you a billboard. Hey, I got this. We call these people. He set everything up for her, and he's not really asking her, okay, I did this for you, so you owe me. He just, hey, look, if I can help, I can help. You know what I mean? And I like that he told her, like, all right, look, we can slow it down. But it was trickery involved, because he knows as a guy, all right, I buttered her up to a degree. As a man, in most cases, we know when a woman is on the fence. If we got a girl we're interested in and we try and bust a move, we can tell when she's on the fence. And right where he knows she's there, what does he do? Look, no pressure. Let's just slow it down. You clinch the deal. As soon as you say slow it down, you know it's only going to speed up from there.
Yeah, but I mean, even still, I think the pure guy me, if there's any question here, I think the football game and how they celebrated together is the dub, bro.
It's it, bro. It's like you knew it was coming. So that's why, as much as he's telling her, There's no pressure. There's no. It's like you still doing it. You still setting everything up for it to be that, bro. Like we know what's up.
It's just, I mean, it's nothing. They're both setting each other up for a lot of
Yeah,
headaches here because there's a
essentially.
lot of just, and I mean, obviously, like the Marcus is full blown on her, and she's playing this yo-yo game because one moment she's getting ready to send Jazz this text, and then she deletes it because, well, LaMarcus kind of gave her the answer she was looking for. So she's like, oh, great, no more Jazz.
Right.
And then it's kind of like, oh man, Jazz is like doing this thing on the IG Live, man. Oh, I miss Jazz. Oh man, forget this hot tub move. Let me go see what's up with Jazz. Then goes to see Jazz, and let's simple answer here: is Jazz wrong for what he's doing?
I don't even think Jazz was doing anything
At all. Zero.
at all. I can't
Zero.
even say it's a question of right or wrong because he literally wasn't doing anything.
Yeah. But see, what's the problem is that Hilary sees him as doing wrong because one, he's not supposed to be having fun. He's not supposed to be on IG Live. He's not supposed to be doing successful without her. And he damn sure shouldn't be celebrating with women around him. Of course he shouldn't be doing, but she is supposed to be doing all of this. And that's the sort of the conversation that has been this entire season, where Jazz is so pro her and helping her get what she wants that she completely overlooks what he needs to do or what he wants to do, to the point that even in this, she sees him winning, and then she's just like, I'm out.
Well,
Let me go back.
That's an
and get a hot
interesting
tub.
take. That's an interesting take. See, I didn't take that from. That's a very interesting take. What I took from it was more so her being emotionally, like I said, emotionally on the fence, and maybe not even 50-50. Maybe it was 70-30. Maybe she was already 70 on LaMarcus, but there's a little 30% there still there for Jazz, right? That 30% was the text that almost got sent, the conversation that her and Ashley had briefly about it, her checking the live when he went live to show everybody what was going on in the store. All of those moments were her 30%. When she made up in her mind, because remember, he told her, hey, look, everything is done. I got the hot tub, blah, 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 blah. If Hilary really was going to do it, she would have just jumped in the hot tub. I don't think she would have needed to leave first, right? So there was an opportunity for her to say, all right, cool. She said, nah, I'm good, whatever, and she left. So to me, that says the 30% that was still there for Jazz, I think genuinely was there. The issue was when she got to the party, what she assumed she saw, and this is, you hear it all the time. It's so
adversary.
It's not what it looks like.
No, yeah, bro.
Yeah,
You better come just like you came last week, because don't try to give her benefit of the doubt or what she assumes she saw. She didn't. I think she literally had her mind made up in terms of like, Jazz better be sitting in the corner, sad that I'm not here. Any bit of happiness, any bit of celebratory actions is a no-go for me.
That's interesting, bro.
I think she feels like he can't do this without me, because remember what she said, he did this party because I helped him set it up.
That's what Ashley was saying. Ashley was like, he misses you, or he's calling out to you.
I think Ashley, but I do think Ashley's right about that.
I do, and that's what I'm saying. Like, he, yes, y'all kind of parted on bad terms, but it wasn't a complete, we're done. It was just kind of up in the air. And that's why I say that. I really feel like it was a 70-30 thing that was still kind of up in the air. But when she got to the party, maybe she used what she assumed that she saw as an excuse to make her feel good about what she went to go do next. And people do that. People will do that. They will take anything and use that as a reason to justify doing something that maybe they shouldn't. So, you know what I mean? Even her facial expression, when she walked in, it was kind of like, oh, there's girls around him. He's probably not thinking about me. Like, they didn't have any dialogue, but just the look on her face.
Yeah.
And that's probably what's going through her mind. And she was just like, all right, I'm out. And that maybe, like you said, to your point, that was maybe all of the justification she needed to feel normal about going back to LaMarcus.
Yeah. So, and I don't even agree with that, because the normal aspect got under my skin. it was an extreme reaction for her to not be comfortable with wanting to make that move with LaMarcus just to come to Jazz place and see him being happy, doing
to
nothing.
then go back to him. And that's my thing. Like, why leave in the first place? If you knew that's what you wanted, just stay. Cause the very next scene
Bruh,
is her knocking at the door to go back to Cuz crib. So
now, bro. Now let's just chop it up for what it is. Now let's just forget all the antics of it here. This is me and you talking on the phone, bruh. Shorty was over his house and was like, nah, and then comes back 10 minutes later. It's like, yeah. As a guy, you're gonna say like, well, what happened? If LaMarcus is defensive about this the next day, after all the hormones and everything calm down, he has the right to question what made you change your mind here.
Right.
Because that's problematic. As he's done nothing but try to be genuine to her in very disingenuous way. But also, too, he's playing the game. He's absolutely playing the game. But Hilary probably never wanted to leave. But as you said, looked for that reason
to justify what she felt like doing the whole time.
Exactly. Just what's the second part of this conversation? Just for her and Jazz to have a conversation. Oh, why didn't you come? Oh, you look like you were having a good time anyway. Exactly. So I had mine.
So I just and I feel like there was something that there too. So like I say, I don't not to say that Hilary is totally innocent, but I just feel like there was some semblance of I still kind of like him. It was a little bit hanging there, and she left to go see about it. I think that's what she did. In her mind, she said, "All right, I have to make a choice. Let me make sure I'm making the right choice, whatever it's going to be." And she went over to the party, and that's all she needed to say. Okay, cool, I'm good.
Yep.
And that was it. Even though what she saw probably wasn't what she really saw. And that's the whole dynamic to it. You know what I mean?
She didn't see anything and she knew it. She just needed
he wasn't doing nothing.
Yeah, but she needed a reason to try to make it to be something.
To justify. Yeah.
Sorry, folks. Listen, first of all, I love Coco Jones and what she's doing with this character, Hilary. But these last few episodes has been completely trash to how Hilary is going about with Jazz.
And I was just going to say, kudos to her. Kudos to the brother that plays Drew, because when the actors make you hate the character personally, when they make your blood boil in his face, they doing something right, dog.
And Ollie, who plays Carlton, but this show makes you invest in so many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we get Doc and Will have this conversation outside the school, and looks like outside the Zenith, and it looks like while I'm thinking about this, I thought Doc was leaning up against Will. I don't know, but they're outside talking.
Yeah, I think he's
and then he says, "Listen, I never lied to you, Will." And then Will makes a very heartfelt, sort of, almost can say like a dissertation to him about who he thought Doc was, what he meant to him, and I felt for it. And I think the easiest way to sum up everything Will was saying is that, like, Doc wanted to help everybody reach their dreams and make them a savage on court. True. But Will says, I related to you. And I
standard basically. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think overall he just expressed a lot of disappointment. So Will got it off his chest. Will got to have his adult moment of confronting his own issues. Mm-hmm. And that's that. I think this was nothing but that. This was nothing but Will having to come full circle about, if you want to, walk to your own beat and you want to confront your own issues, then you do so. And we see that Will is never shy in doing so. I did skip a scene earlier.
Okay, I'm going to say to that point, that scene kind of goes back to what I was touching on earlier about the right and the wrong.
Yeah.
I totally get where Will is coming from. I understand it. But I also totally get where Doc is coming from, because he kept it 100. He said, bruh, let's not act like Zenith is the only place that this happens. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you know anything about sport, and I'm not the biggest sports guy, I don't know all the details on everything, but I have a general idea of how those things work, especially when it comes to the draft. College players not being able to get no money, but the university gets millions off the games and the team. Like, It's been a conversation. So, and the scene in the locker room where he's talking to the teammates, I thought that was a very real scene. I'm glad they put it in there, because what did the players essentially say? Yeah, we all right. He might be doing it in the back door kind of way, but at the end of it, is it really a L? Like if you look at the grand scheme of it, everybody kind of walks away a winner. A little bit under the table, yes. You know, technically off the books, yes. But it's the same thing in the stock market, right? What they call it, day trading, inside trading. Same thing. Yo, I probably shouldn't be making this call, but you might want to move your money because it might not be there tomorrow. Like, these people do it all the time, and they don't go to jail. They don't suffer no consequences. They do it all the time.
Yeah, listen. I was just gonna say, just to that scene, like I think that some of the ballers who basically says like, listen, I just want to ball and be out the way, and I think it ain't always for everybody to be at the executive desk wanting to know the ins and outs of things. Some people are just like, listen, I'm going to ball, do what I need to do, and continue to elevate, you know, and that's why I'm here. Doc is providing the opportunity that I would not have gotten. Will, you're going to be okay. You get to go outside to your lecture. I'm getting on the bus.
Exactly. And that's the whole thing, right? So even if it was through ill-gotten gain or through illegal means, whatever word you want to put on it, if at the end of the day, he makes a connection for me as a player to get to a university, I get a 4-year scholarship, full ride. All I got to do is hoop, and I have a pretty good chance in that mix to gain some, to actually get drafted and get some shoe deals and get it. So I'm straight. If I roll with Doc 4 to 5 years, my life, it does a 180. I can take my mom out the hood. I can feed my family. I can take care of my kid. So did I really take an L because he was gatekeeping it? Is that really an L? Depends on how you look at it. But I mean, mad at the players.
And again, I just think that some of the players are saying like, I don't need to know about the logistics. I don't need to know about like, you know, from one pocket to the next. I'm just here to do my thing and be out the way. And I think that Will is like, and then there's people like this too that needs to know every detail. And then there's some folks that's just like, I'm just cool with the outcome. Well, it's the same as some folks. This is the very lamest ways of going about things. Some people need to watch the entire game, and some people are cool with watching red zone.
The highlights. I feel you. And for me, it's not even so much knowing all the details versus not knowing all the details. Like, I could be in Will's situation and have all the details. I can't say that it would necessarily still deter me from working with Doc if I understand the outcome. All right, long as they nobody die, long as they no life get lost, or nobody got robbed out of it, you know what I mean? As long as there was no extreme wrongdoing on behalf of a particular party, I can live with it because the outcome works for me, and the process is the same process that goes on all over the country, if not all over the world. Yeah. These guys that are highly skilled athletes are not showing up at these top universities on accident. I mean, let's keep it 100. You know, so I think it's more a moral thing. Yeah, like how you look at it morally.
Yeah, listen, back in our regular days of just, you know, folks and stuff, you know, people get recruited to go to certain colleges, but don't have the academics to
the credentials to get it. Exactly.
Yeah, but that's okay because they'll make sure that somebody takes all their tests and everything and so on. Now, do you think the NBA teams care? Because they damn sure didn't care about Derrick Rose. When they said he was coming out, they was like, I don't care who the hell was taking this shit. I'm drafting that dude, and that's just what it is, you know.
And look at his life now. You know what I mean? Granted, the injuries kept him from probably being what he was supposed to be, but I'm sure if you call him right now, he ain't complaining about a damn thing.
No, I think, and I'm not, if I can't mistaken, I think he either went number 1 or number 2. I'm actually about to look that up real quick. Where did Derrick Rose get drafted? Derrick Rose, 2008. He was drafted the first overall pick to Chicago, his hometown. There you go. And they didn't care about what he did at Memphis.
You feel me? So that's all I'm saying. Whether it's right or wrong, I guess that's for God to decide.
Yeah, it's just it's the amount of stress you want to allow in your life. Some folks like, listen, I'm here for this, and Will's like, I need to know everything. And listen, why we like ramble on about this a lot. Understand that Will has trust issues because a lot of people around him have done him wrong. his father, and then he obviously had conflicts with Phil for a lot. So he feels like when he lets these men in his life, he wants to make sure that they're doing right by him. And this is exactly the heartfelt moment he had with Doc, the same thing he had with Lou, and his dad, and last season. So and then same conversation you had with Phil. So it's just right on par for 4 years. Yep. Anyway, let me get through because we're like about at an hour. We never try to do this long. We get Carlton and Viv as we have this Connor and his mom and Viv and Carlton as we have a take a seat
joint family conference.
Yeah. And so with this though, G is right there because G was the one who suggested that they have this sit down, and Carlton was like, "Well, how thoughtful?" And of course, kind of like anytime. But anyway, well, the whole point of all this is Carlton and Connor are trying to put something together, anything together, for their parents to buy into this. Connor mom is clearly gullible, but Viv is very suspicious. But somehow, some way, Connor does take and puts all of the responsibilities on him by saying he lied and shames this girl who catches a stray bullet, Sydney, whoever she is, who works at CVS, who dropped out of high school, and mom definitely didn't like her. But Connor lost his father's watch, and Viv is very much looking very suspicious. But anyway, they talk it out and whatnot. Will walks in and pretty much mugs her Carlton, but also looking kind of like, what's this all about? But we do see Connor and Carlton kind of walking side by side as they felt accomplished, like, hey, they got this done. But we'll talk about this last part in a minute.
Yeah, and that was textbook best friend 101. I really salute Connor for that.
as we see, they know he says they're day one,
like kindergarten and stuff. Yeah,
right.
But that's when you can do it because that's rare. A lot of times, them situations and brothers fold like a deck of cards, like a house of cards. They crumble. So I like that he took the lie, ran with it, and said what he had to say to keep it rolling.
Yeah.
So
Erica and Phil, they have their conversation, and this is when Erica basically said, "Oh, the visit of Viv paid off," and this is just them working out the logistics on what's going to happen here. Phil decides to join the team. She says she thinks this is going to be a good decision in a sort of seductive way, but at the same time, too, she did say that, by doing this, I thought by making peace with Viv would help smooth things over to give you space to make the right decision. And as you said, thinks it will be a good fit and whatnot. But at this point, like we already talked about, this is Erica exposing what her intentions were to see Viv. So we get Will and Carlton now. They're arguing, and Will is very much sure that Carlton's back on the stuff, as Carlton says he's not back on drugs. And
Will
he talked about Will knew. Also lied about hanging out with Carlton. He admitted to that. And he,
and again, the same thing like last episode. During that argument, the song that's playing in the background, I don't know who the artist was, but they were saying "Pray for Peace." Yeah. I think it's very the way they fit them songs in them scenes, man. A1.
Yeah, and this is where Carlton said maybe you should be directing, all your energy to his girl Jackie, and says, "Man, you're not hurting no one but yourself." And it's just another example of Carlton just hitting below the belt here. He's a very malicious person when he gets like this.
When he makes up his mind to be.
Just skipping some of this, Hilary at the party. Viv does make the call to accept the offer. Jazz at the shop. Oh, I meant to mention that he has a Coast Contra. There's his guest. He's on the live. Hilary's stalking and whatnot. And as I mentioned, Ashley says this is like a bat signal. He never loved the IG, but clearly he's trying to reach out to you. So this is also when Hilary mentions about, I love how you're passionate about the things you are, but don't forget to have fun. Phil and James, and this is Phil letting them know that the business deal they got done, they got the Garrison account. Phil got it done, but he also mentioned there's a compromise. He agreed to join Erica. And he says, James said, this ain't a deal. There's no deal. There's no firm without you. There's no deal without you. But then he empowers James, says, "You're going to be the face of the firm. It's time.
Yeah.
It's your time, James." So we're going to see how that plays out. I think it's interesting, but I'm not even going to speculate until what we get next week. Jazz at the shop, and Will walks in. He gets the keys so that he can go kick it with Jackie. And man, let me tell you something right here. I'm just going to even just say what Will did right here with Jazz. I think everybody at one point in their life. That's all I'm
Got
saying.
a good homie in your corner.
Yeah, bro. Hit the keys, bro. But they do. Will and Jackie get a moment, and he says, like, man, every time we keep getting a moment to try to meet up, somebody ends up flaking or whatever it may be. So, like, now that we got a moment to ourselves, all you want to do is talk about. You want to talk about Zenith here? You want to talk about Zenith? We're talking about Zenith, and Jackie's just like, nah, man. You know, come smack these cheeks,
You gotta
man.
have to come up off of something first before I tell you anything.
Yeah, but you want to get broken off real quick, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, LaMarcus and Hilary again. And he said, "I want you really bad, but take all the time you need." That's when she goes and whatnot. But anyway, we get back to Will and Jackie. And Will just wants to know everything that Jackie knows about Doc. And Jackie does detail a lot, but also does not know everything. But Will is hurt because he feels betrayed again. But I do not think he is justified by how he feels towards Jackie here, because Jackie, as she said,
Never lied to him.
she never lied. She only knew what she knew, and she came and was upfront about it all. And Will is instantly looking to kick her to the curb. I do not think this is justified here, but she does know that she has outweighed her stay, and she says, "I guess it's time to leave." But the biggest reveal here is that Doc has been plotting on Phil because he feels that he's an asset.
And
Yeah.
and it comes full circle. The
Yeah.
only reason Doc is even able to rope Phil into this scenario is because of what Will told him the episode before, bro. If he would have never opened his
Well, that, but also too, don't forget they looked him up. Very first episode, they looked it up and it was like, oh, look who his uncle is. And it's
they
like,
did, but they didn't know what the uncle did. Like, that's all they would have had, is that he's a high-powered lawyer, right?
Yeah.
But that's a totally different scenario than
I
know that you basically did the very thing that they tell you not to do as a lawyer, and judges probably involved too. You know what I mean? Like the bar can get involved.
I think it's a twofold thing. I mean, when you get a lawyer in your corner and you guys actually can leverage to something that helps. I mean, I'll say this, then we'll get to the end. Let's call it what it is. Doc is trying to go about this the right way. As he said, I don't want to do it the street way like Homeboy was doing, Lorenzo was doing.
Right.
I want to deal with the agents. I want to deal with the recruiters. I want to do it the right way. I think when you look at Phil and realize that he has a legal background and a firm, you're like, if this dude is trying to open up a case on me, if we get his nephew in here, he will fight for us.
Exactly.
It's not a bad tactic here.
But which I get, but the leverage to have that conversation wouldn't be there if Will didn't give him the details of him coming to Bel-Air.
I think it does. I think he just has added motivation, knowing like, oh, not only is a lawyer who would fight for his nephew that would help us.
But think about it. If he didn't have that hanging over his head and they found out about Doc, all Phil would just, like he said, well, that's not my problem. I'll just take him to another school. Right? Even when he says, well, we're going to be under investigation and da-da-da. All right, cool, bro. I'll take my chance. I'm a lawyer. We straight. They ain't going to be able to connect me to you in any kind of way. Like, we straight. I would have just left. But
I don't know. See,
Phil pulled strings to get him out that gun charge. Because remember, he's like, what do you want from me? And he said it. I want some of that gangster Philip Banks shit. Literally, he said basically the way you got your son, your nephew, off of this gun charge, I need you to basically do the same thing.
I see, and I still see it like another way in terms of like him knowing that he has that street side to him, knows that like, no, he's definitely gonna go after him. He's not even gonna even let this linger. And I do think that why he did state that like we're all in this together, because this would now make Will ineligible.
Yeah.
This potentially could send Phil in Will in any direction. You can go after Zenith, you can go after Lorenzo because you have that lawyer backing. But I think knowing that he's this type of street dude as well too, or have this sort of street mentality, he gonna be like, you know what, man, I ain't gonna even let it go near a courtroom. I'm gonna go handle this the way I'm gonna handle this. I ain't gonna even let this become a legal thing. I'm going to use my knowledge of the legal system to ensure he knows what I'm capable of without this becoming a thing. I think potentially Doc just got super lucky in knowing that he may have had some legal backing, but he damn sure got to do where he goes like, man, we're one and the same, man. We understand what it's like to.
And that's what Phil told him. No, we're nothing alike. That's my stand. Like, I get where Doc's character, where his mind is going.
Yeah,
I get it. But I just feel like had Will kept his mouth shut, which it wasn't his fault, because again, he trusted him, and Doc presented himself in a way where Will was comfortable saying that. But if Will ain't tell him the business, the conversation Doc and Phil would be having, I feel would be a little bit different.
Yeah,
and there wouldn't be nearly as much.
Yeah. He wouldn't have had his feet up on the desk, essentially, kind of just,
even when he tells him, I mean, come on, Phil, there's a negotiation to be had, right? Essentially say, I won't tell nobody about the strings you pulled if you get this guy off my back.
Yeah,
it's like, come on, dog.
Last couple of things here. We're gonna wrap this up now. Carlton and Connor is Carlton says, Mom's tracking me, G's stalking me, and I have to be careful about everything. But Connor and Carlton catch up about the entire night and everything that happened. And long story short, Carlton cops another bag, and he says, like, I'm not done with this, but we gotta be extra careful about how we're doing. And anywho, I'll see you back at school tomorrow. But this, again, as you said, we seen the relationship that Connor and Carlton had, that it is not just from high school, that these are sandbox friends who been through a lot of adventures together, and this just happens to be another one. Hilary goes to jazz party. Hilary returns for the hot tub. And as we mentioned at the very end, we get G, Doc, and Phil and everything. And they're just talking about, everybody's laying out the cards and what's going to happen. But the biggest thing to really make of this is that Lorenzo, his partner, who was like a brother, is trying to open up an investigation, which is going to burn everything down because he'd rather see it all burned down to succeed without him. And every player will be ineligible to play college ball because of the wrongdoings that happen here. And Phil is going to have to get a little bit of that Phil Banks gangster shit in order to stop this. And the last scene we get is we get Will just sitting back, running a bunch of memories through his head of everything that's happened, playing it back. I think this is a lot of frustrations, a lot of just everything to process right now when he's just locked in trying to figure out, I guess, what's his next move, who he can trust, and like what he's going to do, Anything you want to add, man, before we roll out?
No, I think that was it. Everything was covered. I think, like I say, our notes always seem to be the same, which is a good thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I think everything was covered. I guess the only thing I would add is just, again, as they always do, I like the way that they depict certain aspects of the situations that the characters go through to really present a realistic, because that's the thing. We understand it's art, it's fantasy, it's drama, just something to entertain us. But it's always a plus to me when you can take entertainment and create teachable moments from it. You know what I mean? So it's a show, yes, but it touches on very real issues, and it depicts what them issues would look like or how they would play out, I feel, in a very realistic way a lot of times. And I love the show for that.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it, folks. Y'all can let us know your thoughts about tonight's episode. In episode 9, we're back next week for the finale of Bel-Air season 2. But yeah, get us all your thoughts about tonight's episode and all your predictions for next week. And obviously the biggest question is, what will Phil do to stop Lorenzo? Will Carlton finally ever tell the truth? And I don't know. We're going to have to see what Will's next move is, because he's definitely got himself in a mental jam, and it's pretty hard to tell what he wants to do next. So we'll see.
And will I have another mic by the time it's time to film the next episode?
On the next episode of Bel-Air. We'll see y'all next week, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in for this one.
Big Gold Bell.